All right, we're on episode 26, and it's called Take Back Your Power Guide. My name is Anna Dornier, and I am with,
Mubarak and Sakarisha.
and we have a treat for you. This is actually a training that surprised us actually when we did it with our clients, as far as their reactions to it and the aha moments that they got. And I mean, I was surprised too with their reaction, and like anyone else that have watched it since then has been just like, oh my gosh, like it totally makes sense. So we'll just get into it, and then you guys can, let us know how you guys like it. So let's go
Yeah,
ahead. So this is go ahead.
as you're preparing that, I'm just setting up the viewers and listeners about this. The reason why it's so good because it's a counterintuitive, right?
Mhm.
It's not something that we are commonly taught or how to think, right? It's opposite from what we think because, for example, right, as you will see, how is it that taking away actually adds more things, right? It's like we have taught in this society correcting, like
Yeah,
if you have a problem, you keep adding. For example, in the last episode, we talked about information, right? So there's so much information, you think, oh, I'm lacking information, I'm missing information. Actually, you may not be missing information. It may mean that you need to get away to get rid of information, right? So this is gonna be really, really good in that
yeah,
aspect.
for sure, definitely. And so in this episode, we're going to chat about taking back your power as an entrepreneur through the perspective of system reliability.
Mhm.
So this is the concept that Mubarak was alluding to, where you multiply by subtraction. So what is system reliability? It is the product of all components in the system or in a system, right? So the product here means the result of a multiplication equation, right? So this is elementary stuff. You guys know what a product is, right? But in this context, it's the product of how does your productive day look like. So let's explain the context of system reliability first. So basically, if we're looking for a specific product, right, we can multiply our results by subtracting versus adding, right?
What?
And
Wait. Because Anna, I don't want you to just pass this because there's people who just said, excuse me, Anna, what did you just say? That we can multiply our results by subtracting versus adding? Like, is that Chinese? Can you go a little bit? And I just want you to a little bit explain just that statement. Did you make, uh, is it by, did you not make a mistake in writing that statement?
no, nope, it's not a typo at all. And it will
Aha.
become a lot more clear with examples. And like you said, it's counterintuitive thinking.
Mhm.
um and it's something that is not like a concept that the mainstream, even in education, that that you're going to get from education if you have a college degree or whatever, right? But it doesn't make sense if you when you first hear about it, because it is counterintuitive. But as you understand what system reliability is, then you're gonna really understand what multiplication by subtraction is.
Yeah, to add to that, in the last episode, Anna, you mentioned something that I want for the viewers, because this is a common thing. We heard about physics, Newton's law of physics, where it says the body in motion tends to stay in motion
Yeah.
until it meets with outside force that stops it. Just listen to that. You see? So that's what this is on another level. So you are in motion with whatever things. Every time you meet another force, outside force, actually it reduces your what? Your
Mm,
motion. You see?
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So now, sometimes all you need to do is remove that outside force to keep the momentum. You
Yeah,
get it? If you don't,
yeah,
go watch the last episode. You'll know what I'm talking about.
yeah, for sure, definitely. Okay, so multiplication by subtraction. Let's use technology as an example because this is obviously something that we all are familiar with. We deal with technology all the time, right? So while nothing is perfect, no technology out there is perfect, most technologies are pretty close to being 100% reliable. So this is what we mean by that, right? So for example, your smartphone is 90% reliable for making calls and getting answers from Google or Siri, whichever manufacturer you have, right? When you need information, right? 90% reliable. And let's say that you have an app that gives you directions, like your Google Maps app or whatever Apple map you use, that is also 90% reliable, 90% of the time, right? So the product of their system reliability, 90% of the smartphone, 90% on the app, is 0.9 times 0.9 equals 0.81 or 81%, right? That's what we mean by the product of the system. So that makes sense so far, hopefully. If not, you can always ask us questions. And then if you're watching on YouTube, which we highly recommend that you do, because we have slides on this one, just ask in the comments, right? So if you add another app to the first two apps that is also 90% reliable, then your system reliability drops to 70%. And the math looks like this, right? 0.9 times 0.9 times 0.9 equals 0.72, which is 72%.
Yes.
So go ahead.
Okay. Another thing that I want to clarify, you hear how I said that when you add in a system, we are not just, it's not plus, it's a multiplication effect, right?
Yeah.
And also we're dealing with percentages. This is something you can go get your calculator and work it out, right? You know, we're not coming up and say, oh, she's saying adding and now here she's multiplying, right? I want you to make, because this is so deep, right? You may have to listen to this twice or three times, or even go Google it for yourself. And when you look at, I can guide you to go look at what we call system theory, right? It goes deep into that and find out the system reliability, right? But for the context of this episode, I wanted to make that clarification. You're not going to get 9% plus 90%. No, it doesn't work that way in system reliability. It's a product of its things, which is a multiplication effect. It's not an addition effect.
Yeah, definitely. So multiplication by subtraction, we're not adding by subtraction. Because we want to multiply. We don't just want to add, we want to multiply, right? So from this example with the apps, the three apps together, right? You can see that even though the individual components, in this case, the smartphone and then the two apps on top of it, even though they are not less reliable on their own, the total system, when you put them all together, the total system reliability is lower, right? Because it multiplies the inefficiencies inside the system, basically. And I think that a lot of, maybe software engineers, like people that design apps and technologies, probably are more familiar with this than like the average person, which I think is a shame because it's a really, really important concept, right? So this is why bigger, more complicated systems or complex systems don't scale with the same efficiency, right? Because if you keep adding to the system, adding to the system, adding to the system, without looking at how reliable each system is, then the system itself becomes less efficient, right? And so why is this important to designing your perfect productive day? Because ultimately, this whole episode is about designing your perfect day. And I think we forgot to talk about that at the very beginning. But it is, and you're going to see, and it's going to become more clear how this is related. So human behavior is almost always the least reliable component in any system because we have optimized everything else really well. So what do we mean by this? For example, you're doing day-to-day tasks, right? And we're comfortable with these, even though it's not the most productive thing we can do in our business or in our life, right? But we've optimized this. We've optimized for this because of our comfort zones. So we've optimized for comfort zones. Do you see how your comfort zones has created inefficiencies in your day because you haven't optimized for a productive day? You've optimized for comfort zones, right? And we're going to give you specific examples as well on this episode. So let's say that you as a human, right, you do exactly what you should do when you should do it about 60% of the time. This is where it gets really good. We get 0.9 times 0.6 equals 0.54 or 54%, right? So the number 54, 90% represents a 90% reliable technology or a tool that you're using, right? Either it's that's a CRM, you're using Facebook for marketing, whatever it is, right? And you're only going to see the exact expected results 54% of the time because you as a human being, you're only doing exactly what you need to do 60% of the time, right? So 0.9 times 0.6 equals a 54% system reliability. So go ahead.
So what I wanted to put into perspective, right? Let's assume, as he said, let's use an example, Facebook, right? As an example, right? So Facebook itself as a system is 90% reliable. How is it reliable? I can reach Anna, send her a message, I can read her post, I can do those things, right? But myself, let's take 5 days, which is Monday to Friday. Each day be representing 20%, right? So that represents 100%, right? But I only do it 3 days out of 5. You see, so that's the best way to show you. So if I only do the reach out to Anna 3 times instead of 5 times, brings me to 60%, right?
Yeah.
So now that's what Anna she's talking about. So when you reach out Anna 60% of the time, because Facebook has been there, it's reliable, it's 90%. Now, when you multiply that, that's where the 54% comes from. So I wanted to give you that visual, right? Facebook could be anything. It could be your car. It could be a job. It could be the chores at home, right? It could be anything. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll give you another example as well so that you see on the slide. So based on that example, right, here's the thing. Even if the tool was perfect, like 100%, right? Let's say Facebook works 100% of the time, right? 1 times 0.6, which is you doing whatever you need to do 60% of the time, the result is still 60%, not much better than 0.54 or 54%, right? So the results will still suck because you're the variable, right? Human behavior is the variable. So how can we improve system reliability, right? So the best way to have more control over the outcome of your life is 1, remove unnecessary components or simplify your life. And 2, focus on your behavior until it is almost perfect, right? This is where habits and all that stuff come in, right? So otherwise, you will be blaming perfectly good technologies, tools, and programs for your failures for the rest of your life. This is so good, right?
Yeah, you will be blaming perfectly good technologies or tools and programs.
Yeah.
Have we been there, Anna?
Yes, we have.
It's not working. Oh, this. But you haven't stopped to look in the mirror, actually.
Yeah, exactly. You haven't looked at who's responsible for the results, right? So until your own behavior is the most reliable component in the entire system that you're a part of, all other changes will have diminished returns at best, right? Because you're more than 50%. You need to be at 100%, right? The habits need to be whatever habits that you need to build to optimize for the results that you're looking for needs to be close to perfect, right? Otherwise, everything else that you add will have diminished returns. So this is how you multiply by subtraction. So this is how you're starting to see when you take away certain things from the system, it's going to add the efficiency of the system, right? That's how you can start to multiply. So here's our question for you. What are areas of your business or your life where you can apply multiplication by subtraction? We'll help you with some more questions. And there's also a companion journal on this with all the questions that we're giving you on the slides. So if you want to download them, the download link should be in the show notes if you're on our website. Also, the download link should be in the description of the video as well if you're watching on YouTube. So what is your perfect day? So this is not the day that society says is perfect, because that could look so much different than what you think is perfect. And it's also not the day that would look the most successful to other people, right? This is like removed from every other preconceptions that you may have learned growing up, being influenced by outside, how do you call this? Outside influences, right? So this is the day that you would be the happiest living. So this is what we mean by what your perfect day looks like. It's the day that you would be the happiest living. So when designing your perfect day, you want to define the conditions of your success. What does success look like to you, and what are the conditions surrounding that? And we'll explain a little bit more further. Because when you define the conditions for your success, then you will define the definitions of failure as well, right?
Mhm.
So this is just a quick example of how you define conditions of success. So, for example, if my definition of success is that I start my morning without waking up to an alarm clock, and then I take my time to drink my espresso or coffee with my husband, and then one day I decided that I was going to start waking up at 5 a.m. because I have a client who needs to meet with me early in the morning, then I've failed. I've defined that my definition of success is that I don't have to wake up to an alarm clock. And yet, if I take on, and I would say 5 a.m. for a client, like I'm probably in a different part of the world. That's probably why, right? So that means then I've failed if my definition of success is that I don't have to wake up to an alarm clock, because I definitely don't wake up naturally at 5 a.m., right? So hopefully that makes sense. So the Alpha Academy way of thinking about your perfect day. So what are the bad habits you've developed or recurring thoughts that are no longer serving you, or actions that are not moving the needle toward your goals? So when we say Alpha Academy, we deal with manifesting from energy, from spirit, from your thoughts, right? If you've read Think and Grow Rich, thoughts are things, right? That was like the first intro of my intro to kind of this kind of work. And so if you have recurring thoughts that are no longer serving you or not moving you toward your goals, you're going to want to determine what those things are. Because we know, right, that whatever we're thinking, we're also creating eventually. And whatever thoughts we're thinking, it also emanates, the energy of it is what emanates from us, and then we attract more of that into our life. And so if we're really diving deep in the Alpha Academy way of doing things, this is the first question, probably one of the most important questions you want to ask. Did you want to add something to that, Mubarak?
Yeah, before we add something to it, Anna, what's Alpha Academy? If someone is watching this for the first time and they hear the Alpha Academy way of thinking about your perfect day, they're like, what's Alpha Academy? What is it?
Yeah, so Alpha Academy is a 12-week program that we have that ultimately, if I have to summarize it in 2 words, it's reprogramming the subconscious. Like that's 3 words, I guess. Reprogramming your subconscious. It's reprogramming the universal mind, which is ultimately what controls a lot of things. It's more powerful than our conscious mind. So that's how I would define it. How would Mubarak define Alpha Academy?
No, Alpha Academy is that missing piece that ourselves we found, right? That we kept seeing
I
that.
think we got disconnected. Can you repeat? How would you define Alpha Academy, Mubarak?
Okay, so what I was saying that Alpha Academy was, first of all, how was it born? Because that's the best way I define it, right? We were doing coaching with our clients and helping them, giving them what we thought was the best tools and everything, and then they kept not implementing those trainings, right? And then we found out, as you mentioned here, that there were some habits, there are some ways of thinking that they have adapted over the years that were holding them back, right? And then we're like, but we have these ways that for us we're doing it. Why can't we share them with this, right? And then that's how Alpha Academy was born, from a problem that our clients ourselves were having. And how did we know that we hit the nail on the head? Is the testimonials that we got from the class. Oh my God, oh my God, wow, how come that we never heard about this, right? So that's how Alpha Academy was born. So
yeah, and also the results that they were getting.
Yes. Oh, yeah. The results themselves, you have to go watch it for yourself and see how incredible they are. So you asked me, what do I want to add this? Here you said, what are the bad habits that you have developed, right? And I'm going to give an example, because probably you don't have a bad habit, but I guarantee if you're an entrepreneur, right? Or if you're someone who have done something for themselves, you're going to resonate with this, because this is something I'm finding almost every client and customers that we're serving that they seem to have. Have you ever had, you have paid your bills, they're paid, and then you have a balance in a bank account, but you still feel that you don't have anything? You're worried about, oh, I'm not going to be able to make ends meet tomorrow. And your bills are paid and you still have some money sitting in your bank account, right? I promise you, if it hasn't happened to you yet, it's a common challenge that we see to more successful entrepreneurs that we work with, right? They have that, for whatever reason, somewhere, somehow, they have developed this, they have manifested this thought, occurring thought, that I'm going to run out of money, but there's no physical evidence to it.
Yeah.
You know, so that's one of those habits that we're talking about. And it's how you could be able, it's a recurring, because it's a recurring, it keeps coming. Every time you make more money, it's still there that, oh, I'm going to run out, even though you have, which by keep thinking that way, it's holding you back to achieve, enjoy that perfect day.
And it's going to keep happening, because you're literally making it happen just by thinking about it, because those thoughts are generating feelings, right? And the feelings, like I said, it creates that energy that you emanate, and then the energy just attracts. Like you're literally a vortex for the thinking that you're doing, right? So,
Funny. This is also the perfect way to, you remember we said, the body in motion tends to stay in motion. Right? This is the motion that you don't want to stay in. This is the way where you want to bring outside force to stop that force, to create the new force that you want. Because if you keep, if that body, that thought keeps in motion, guess what? You're not going to be able to enjoy the perfect day ever.
Yeah, never. It's never going to come. And we both know from our Working Alpha Academy that the only way to create is now.
Yeah.
It's not in the past. It's not in the future. You're just here, and this is the only time that you can create, right? And you brought something up that brought something up in my mind, and now I totally forgot. We'll talk about that another day when it comes to my mind. So, what are other tasks can you eliminate that you can eliminate? That are not going to be a part of your perfect day, right? So what are tasks that you are currently doing that are not bringing you joy or not showcasing your innate talents, gifts, and skills, right? Because again, if it's bringing you out of joy, or I mean, there's always going to be something that you don't want to do. And you be the judge as to whether you're going to keep doing them or not. Because some things you just had to do. But there's a lot of other tasks that you can outsource or delegate, that is not bringing you joy, or is not bringing you bringing out the best in you,
Mhm.
right? Did you want to add something to that?
Oh my goodness. So again, talking from a business point of view, right? As you know, as we said in previous year, that there's a reason why you became entrepreneur. There
Right.
is something that you're passionate about. So now, from this point of view, is that thing part of your perfect day? Does it take most of that day, or you're doing less of it because you are busy focusing on the things that agitates you and makes you angry, and the day becomes way too long for you? You're like, oh my God, I can't wait the day to end, right? What are those things, right? Because those are the tasks that we're talking about. So I wanted to give it a really mental picture that you have. Let's say for me, right? I love coaching, right? I love helping customers have transformations through conversations, right? That's something that I have to make sure that it takes most of my time during the week. But when I find myself doing other things, no matter how good they look, no matter how they may be, I don't have the same energy. I don't get even good vibe around it, right? So
Yeah.
those are signs that Mubarak, come back to where you belong.
You're whistling a lot today.
Did I?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so that thought that I was thinking of earlier when you were talking about the force that needs to stop the thought,
Uh-huh.
right? The force is your consciousness, right?
Yes.
So, and that's ultimately what we teach. One of the things that we teach about in Alpha Academy is be conscious of your thoughts. I know it can be exhausting at first, and then once you start paying attention to your thoughts, I'm like, that is so silly. Why am I
Mhm.
thinking that? And you start to have judgment. But yeah, that the force that stops whatever recurring thoughts that you no longer want to have is your conscious attention to it, right? Because where your focus goes, your energy flows,
Mhm.
right? So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up, so I don't forget. So another way to frame the first question is, what are the tasks that are no longer moving the needle in your business? That, it doesn't require any special talent or gift to do this thing. Um, and it's something, again, that you can outsource and somebody else can do it much better, right? And what else can you remove to make your system more reliable? So you can look at this from the business aspect, or you can also look at it from your personal life aspect. What are parts or components of your systems that you can remove so that you can make it more reliable? And then the last question is, what are the habits or tasks that are preventing you from your deep work time? So in order to explain what deep work is, I'll go to the next slide so you can see the definition. So deep work just means professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their limit. These efforts create new value, improve your skills, and are hard to replicate. So basically, it's like a chunk of time, 1 to maybe 5 hours of your day, where you're able to focus specifically on creating a new project that will bring value to the world, or maybe improve your skill. It requires some mastery, so you need to focus on it, right? And it's something that's hard to replicate because you're good at it, right? You're naturally, innately good at doing that thing, and so the more you master it, the better you get at it, and so therefore it creates more value in the world. So that's what we mean by deep work. And this is, I think, what a lot of entrepreneurs, and it's kind of going back to the previous episode that we just did, as far as the ice, right? And so how can we eliminate the distractions? How can we create those chunks of time where we're actually doing more deep work? So we want to put that definition there just so that you know what that means. Did you want to add something, Mubarak?
No, that's good.
Okay, awesome. So if we're using a bowling analogy, we're talking about defining success and defining failures, right? So success, right, baked into your perfect day are the bumpers that will keep you out of the gutter, right? So you imagine this bowling alley, it has gutters, right? So in the middle is success. So as long as you stay in the middle, you're gonna get out of the bumpers, and as soon as you get the hit the bumpers, then you could get into the gutter, right? So you don't want, these are kind of like your guides, so that you can stay out of the gutter. So once you have answered those questions, what we want you to do is to write down your perfect day using this prompt. So I know I am successful when my day starts with dot dot dot, and then continue. And then again, there's a companion journal to this so that you can just write it, print it out, and then write it on that sheet of paper. It will have all the questions and the prompts that you need to ultimately engage with this information, right? You'll know what we mean by engage if you've listened or watched the last episode. So then write out your perfect day from the moment you wake up all the way to bedtime. And so this is an example that I wrote when I was doing this practice. My perfect day starts with a perfect night, in bed by 11 or 11:30 p.m. And then I wake up without an alarm clock between 6 and 7 a.m. That's why it has to start with a perfect night, right? Because if I didn't get in bed before midnight, then waking up without an alarm clock around 6 or 7 a.m. would be impossible, right? And then do my rituals, meditate, learning time, workout, stretch, journal, like basically all the things that I want to do to get me ready, get my mind, get my body ready for the day. So my body, my energy, my soul, all that stuff for the day. I don't do any actual work until about noon, right? So, and then have breakfast before noon, and then start work meetings by noon, and then only work 5 hours a day, high level tasks between 12 to 5 p.m. This is my deep work time. And then I have certain days throughout the week, just because of time zone differences, where I actually have late days. So like a day like today, it's already like past 6 p.m. here where I am. And so I've designated this day as one of my late days, right? But it's planned ahead, right? Because the lifestyle that I live, and I'm in different parts of the world, it just comes with the territory, right? So I designated some late days. And then I still, of course, still want to have prepare simple meals for my family. And so I put that in my perfect day, only cook simple dinner meals. Really, if it's my perfect day, I won't be cooking the meals. Somebody else will be cooking it, right? I'll have a chef to cook the stuff. And then write down your non-negotiables. So these are your bumpers, that bowling analogy, right? So from now on, I refuse to work after 5 p.m. except for 2 days a week, right? Which I decide ahead of time, like I mentioned in the previous slide. I refuse to work on the weekends, and unless there's something I'm really, really excited about, then it doesn't feel like work. But that I decide that in the moment when I feel inspired, right? And then I refuse to start something I'm not willing to do forever and to be continued. I refuse to negotiate with myself. So if I make a plan, I'm following through. So I have to be careful about making plans, and then accept my way as the only possible effective way. That means like I stay open-minded as to what other possibilities are there that could be more effective, because I'm not the expert at everything, right? And so be open-minded around that. And then I refuse to judge people or try to be right or win an argument, right? Because sometimes there's just no winning an argument or being right. right? So part of the exercise that we want you to do for this episode is to take a moment to write down your non-negotiables. You can copy some of the things, the examples that we wrote, but I'm sure you have some things that are important to you. There are non-negotiables as well, right? So start with this prompt: from now on, I refuse to, and then start writing. And so why do you want to design your perfect day? So you can have bumpers, right, to keep you from the gutter. And then it will serve as a tool to help you make decisions, and whether what you're going to do is going to add or remove something from your life. So you can continue optimizing for your perfect day, right? Your successful day. So it's a guideline for decision making as well. And so managing expectations, I like this a lot because, you know, when say perfect day, there most days are not perfect, but we're striving for perfection, right? So let's look at managing expectations, right? It's important to remember that your maximum achievability is not your maximum maintainability. So I see you smiling. Go ahead.
No, I know, I like that. That's again another not common, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I wanted you just to pause about it a little bit and explain to people how those two things are two completely, and how most of us entrepreneurs, we mistakenly do the opposite.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll put this in kind of because of my background, right? Used to be a fitness coach.
Mhm.
I like your maximum achievability is not your maximum maintainability. That means that, let's say your goal is to lose 20 pounds, right? You can't, let's say, in your goal to reach that lose 20 pounds, let's say, is to lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks, and you have a deadline to do that, right? To do it in 6 weeks is not maintainable. Right? Like if you're able to achieve that, which is totally possible, to lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks, it's your maximum achievability. Like you gotta give it all you've got in 6 weeks to reach that 20-pound goal. But you can't maintain that same effort, that same commitment over time, over a longer period of time, the rest of the year. It's just not possible. So that's what we mean by maximum achievability is not your maximum maintainability, right?
Mhm.
So think about that when you're designing your perfect day, and you're managing expectations around that, the perfect day.
Mhm.
And then pay attention to rolling averages, not the day-to-day progress. This is another one of those concepts that's very powerful when it comes to this, right? For example, your bank account may have started at $100, right, when you first opened it, but the monthly average deposits for the last 2 years will tell you a lot more about whether or not you're improving your bottom line, right? It's not the $100 deposit, it's a snapshot, whereas the monthly average deposit tell you a big picture story of how you are continuously improving your bottom line. So
Yes.
when you're looking at your perfect day, look at the rolling averages. Go ahead, Mabar.
Mhm. So with that example, again, you can see that you can set your maximum maintainability, which is the things that you say, you know what, this is my maximum. I can maintain this for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Which is that, let's say, $100 deposit to my bank account, right? You know, but the maximum achievability of that, right, could be something different. But achieving the maximum maxability, you may not attain it for long because it's maximum
Right.
achievement. And this is what happens often in online world. You see someone show, oh, I made $1 million, right? But how can he maintain that? That's his maximum achievability. That those what we call the Rotary winners, right? And what we want to see, can you show us your bank account for the last 12 years, 12 months or 6 months, right? Or now that you showed us this check of 1 million that you just got today, okay, let's wait another 6 months or 12 months ahead. What are we going to see? Then from just that vision now, we can be able to see his maximum maintainability, that this was the black swan, right? That just happened to come in like anybody else, right? Then we have the perfect, you do whatever things you do, the best promotion or whatever, odds happen, or Elon Musk mentions what do you call the whatever
Doge.
meme coin, whatever, and then you, oh yeah, you become a millionaire for one day, right? So this is common. This can lie to you. So when you're looking at this type of analysis, even for yourself or for outside, be cautious. Are you looking at the maximum achievability, or are you looking at a maximum maintainability, right? Because I would rather take from a maximum maintainability rather than a maximum achievability, because you can't. It's impossible to maintain the maximum achievability all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that consistency that matters more than how much can you do in a concentrated period of time, because it's just not possible to maintain that kind of that level of work, right? For a long period of time. So we're looking at more consistency over time. That's where we're looking at rolling averages, right? And the habits that build that consistency, right? And that's why when we're designing the perfect day, we talk about rolling averages, because not every day is going to be perfect, but how many days out of the week is perfect, right? And that's going to tell you a better picture than just looking at, let's say, week by week or day by day, right? So a 3 month, 6 month, even 12-month kind of picture of data from all your perfect days is going to be a much better picture than just the smaller data, right? So more examples of rolling averages so that we can really drive this home for you. So if someone is overweight, it does not mean that their habits necessarily need to change if their weight is trending down consistently, right? And they're already doing the right things. The snapshot is deceiving, meaning the person that you're seeing that's currently overweight, you don't know what they've done up to that point already, right? So the motion picture tells the story. Let's say if that same person has documented their journey, let's say they started at 200 pounds, right? And they're now at 160 pounds. They've lost 40 pounds up to that point. I can tell you, if that person has taken a picture every 2 weeks, you will see the transformation in those pictures, right? It tells the story because their weight is trending down over time. And they might have days when they might have gained 2 or 5 pounds because of some, whatever, something they ate, something they didn't eat, right? That help them have like a temporary gain in weight. So that's why a snapshot is deceiving. So the net worth is a result of every risk taken and reward reaped from the day you started making your own decisions up until now. Your net worth. I'm saying that wrong, right? Yeah. That's powerful, right? Yeah. So that means that if the current net worth doesn't quite look good, look at the decisions that you've made up until now, and how can we make better decisions to add up to a better net worth, right? That's all something that is important for us to look at. So the rolling averages tells us the story that we care about, not the snapshots. That's what we want you to focus on when once you've designed your perfect day and once you start implementing it. Don't beat yourself up that it's not perfect today, but look at the bigger picture of how well you've done consistently over time. And that's what we care more about, right? So the perfect day's purpose is this in a nutshell. The me that I am tomorrow is going to be better than the me I am today. So if you're accomplishing that every single day, then you won, right? So action step here. Download the Take Back Your Power Companion Journal. So if you went to the show notes or the description of the YouTube video to download the slides, then it's also going to be in that same place where you're going to find this journal. And ultimately, this is just a journal, like, something that you can print and that you can write on with all the questions that we ask you on this episode so far. And so what we want you to do is answer all the questions thoroughly and give yourself a good 30 minutes, maybe more, right? If you haven't done this before, and if you really need to think about it, about what you want your perfect day to look like, maybe because you haven't done it in a while, you haven't done it at all, take your time. This is one of those things that you want to really think it through. Not that it's set in stone, but give it a good, some good amount of concentration and focus, because this is kind of like your planning stage, right? And then in Alpha Academy, we have this tool called the 20-minute millionaire designer. It's the kind of companion system to this, where it's going to help you complete your vision. So you've designed your perfect day, and then the 20-minute millionaire designer is going to help you design your vision. Now, we know that you're not watching this in Alpha Academy, but if you are, you're in luck because you know where to find it. But we might record this and give you this as a podcast episode next time. And if you can't find it, just let us know, and we'll let you know where it is, where to find it, if we have recorded that episode. Mubarak, do you have any last minute insights?
Yeah, not only insight, also more information about the 20-minute millionaire designer. Right now, as you're watching, right? Another way for us to record it first, or to not even think about it, is let us know if you want it.
Yeah.
Right? If you're in Alpha Academy, you think this could be something that you're more interested in, yeah, let us know. Then, depending on the design, the demand of how many people said, hey, we want it, well, can we find it? That's gonna put us to maybe change our schedules to make sure that we record it sooner than later, right? So that it's helps you to just keep moving. And also it's a sign that you're listening, right? That you reach,
that you're engaging.
You're engaging and you reach to the end of this episode, right? And as always, don't forget to subscribe, right? If this is your first, someone shared this with you. And also we highly recommend that if you know other entrepreneurs or anybody who you may benefit from this episode, pass it on and share the love, just that action itself, you're taking action, right? So those are the few things that I wanted to end with, by reminding you that pass it on, or if you are, subscribe and let us know that you're watching and you want us to add more things. Or even if you have any other question from the previous, or there's other things that this podcast have triggered you and you're like, oh my God, or can you guys go deep on this? Oh, how about this? We love those interactions. Remember, if you watch the last episode, that's part of connecting and engaging.
Yes, definitely. I want to add a caveat to that offer that you just gave, Mubarak. Like, I think I want them to send us their answers to this episode before, if they really want access to this 20-minute millionaire designer, which I think is very, very powerful. This is still something that I do on a regular basis. I revisit this vision all the time, and it's been so, so powerful for me. But it really would be useless if they didn't do this episode exercise first.
There you go.
Right? And so if you want the 20-minute millionaire designer, show us that you've done this work. Just send it, take pictures or make a PDF, whatever. Figure it out, right? Send it to us, and then we'll send you this.
I think that's a win-win. Yeah.
Yes, totally. For sure. So we want to end with just a reminder from Earl Nightingale about what success is. He said, Success is really nothing more than the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. This means that any person who knows what they're doing and where they are going is a success. Any
Mm,
person with a goal towards which they are working is a successful person.
mm,
How powerful is that?
mm.
Really good, right?
It is.
So we'll end it with that. I think this has been really good. We hope
Yeah.
you love it.
Mhm.
This has been Organic Reach X.
We show you how to go with the flow organically in your business.
See you next time.
See you next time.